Good evening, everybody, and welcome to day 20. 20. That means 10 shy of a month. And
1 day shy of 3 weeks. Are we doing math?
No, we're not doing math. I was trying to do some math. Did you see any smoke coming out of my ears?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it's 20 days. I mean, that's pretty nice accomplishment so far. So,
2 nights.
Huh?
2 nights.
You might as well be talking in Chinese.
Or Thai.
Whenever we first started this, I wasn't quite sure if we would make it 2 nights, but we've now made it 20, so it's exciting.
It is exciting. We've only got 70 more to go.
Way to splash that water right on the fire. No. So here we are, day 20. Subscriptions have gone way up. I think a lot of people are subscribing. Things are getting rolling. There has been some question about subscribing and what that really means on YouTube. So when you subscribe on YouTube, it's sort of like liking a page on Facebook. Very similar, but everybody's got to have their own little name for it. So when you click subscribe, basically that just means that you are going to see whenever we put up a new video. You can get notifications, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the bell comes in, as we discovered last night.
Yeah, and hitting subscribe, one of the questions that I've had several times is it going to charge me anything? And subscribing to a channel doesn't charge you anything. There are some channels that you'll find that have premium features that it does charge, but ours is just subscribing, and it does not cost anything.
Right. So you can get a notification, which basically it'll pop up on your mobile device that a new video has been put up by Broken and Beautifully Blended, and then you can sit down and spend the next 5 to 20 minutes watching that video without stopping or interrupting. You could watch it 2 or 3 times. That would be good. You could hit the like button, which is the thumbs up. We would prefer you don't hit the thumbs down, but I'm sure that there are some of you that probably would do it just for the fun of it. So
we know our friends.
We know our friends. With friends like ours, who needs enemies? So, but yeah, you can comment, you can share it. If you would share it on social media, that would be good as well. That's how these things start to grow, is that as you share it, then maybe it reaches some of your friends and then they share it again. So feel free to help us out any way you can by sharing the videos, liking the videos, subscribing to the channel, liking the page on Facebook. So none of those cost you anything. Mm-mm. Just a little time and effort.
Yeah, and it is a way for those that are in blended families to be reached and to have some community around them. He made sure that I said I.
Well, it was on your page.
On my personal page, I reached out this morning and asked who was in a blended family or who was raised in a blended family, just to kind of get a feel for who's out there that is in a similar situation like us. And then I asked the question of what are some of the things that you're finding to either be challenges or joys in your blend. And so that's giving us some more things to talk about in the days to come, just because, we've been through some of them, and some of them we don't have experience. So maybe we would reach out to another blended family for their experience on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the things that you got back today?
There was one about expectations of relationships being different than reality. And then the difficulty of co-parenting, and really the hope or the expectation that it would get easier over time. And sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. Mm-hmm. Then there was the struggles are there, but they're worth it. So
I think we've experienced all of those at some point along the way. And now that we've gotten a little feedback, it'll give us some opportunity to formulate some thoughts and make sure that what we speak is life-giving. Expectations of relationships, I think that really burned us in the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Big time. Both within our family, within our nuclear family, and within our extended family. And to some degree, those expectations still cause grief. Co-parenting is a challenge. And I think most of the time it probably has its ups and downs. We've met several couples that seem to have some pretty good plans worked out. Couple from Oklahoma City that we got to talk with a little bit a month or so ago. They seem to do a really nice job of reaching out and communicating with the non-custodial parent, I guess would be the way to say it.
Yeah. And they've got several children between them.
And the one thing that is really the toughest about that, I mean, most of the time, if you really see eye to eye, chances are your relationship wouldn't have ended and, you wouldn't be in this situation. The hard thing to remember is that it's about the kids. We try not to tear down the parent that's not here. Sometimes you have to be real about what happens. Sometimes you have to be real about why the situation is the way that it is. But ultimately, it's not to tear down the other parent. It's just to explain the situation. So co-parenting can be very difficult.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, I mean, I'm one that I was in a blended family as I was being raised, and now I have a blended family. And your family didn't split until you were in college. And so you were raised in a nuclear family. And I know for me, specifically on my side of it, my parents didn't learn to see eye to eye until Allison was born, which is the oldest grandkid. And that just kind of changed everything. Sometimes there is just something that changes everything and you realize it's going to be this way forever. And so I can either choose to be kind or I can choose to continue down this path. So.
And then there's always differing beliefs, whether it's a religious belief or disciplinary belief or
financial.
Whatever the case. Yeah. There's always those differences that are going to come up, and between spouses, between parents and non-custodial parents. It's surprising to me how many people that respond to these kinds of things, how many blended families there really are. And then when you think about the struggles that we all face, I mean, it's almost, well, I mean, it is. It's more difficult to sort of overcome some of those challenges.
Well, and I think about the fact that, like, whenever we were getting married and Vernon met us here to talk about if we were ready to get married or not. And he's the preacher that married us. He talked about his premarital session with a couple that had never been married before. He would tell them that their greatest struggle was going to be finances. And that because we were getting married for the second time, that our greatest struggle was going to be the kids. And that didn't mean that finances weren't going to be a battle. It just meant that kids were going to be a greater struggle than the finances. And I think that is true, and you just don't think about it. It's still that huge struggle of finances, but there is another big battle, and learning how I never really got over this battle, and I haven't been able to get over this battle. And I think that's where we finally we've got to find God. We've got to get God in the center of this, because both of these battles, those are wars in themselves.
One of the most challenging things that we did several years ago was to say, we're not going to leave a legacy for our children of divorce, of failure, of regret. And we were able to stop that snowball through being obedient to what God had called us to do, and said, we are not going to let this happen, even though we didn't see eye to eye. Mm-hmm. And on a lot of things, was no clear line of communication. It has since gotten better. There are still things that we don't see eye to eye on, and they rear their head every so often.
A lot of times during stressful times like holidays and
when holidays come around, when finances are tight, and when kids are having struggles, you'll find these things to be bigger deals, because that's where our enemy, the devil, knows he can get a strong hold on our inner feelings. Had several preachers say over the years that the devil knows us better than we know us. And so if there is a place where he can get a hold of our spirit, get a hold of our attitudes, get a hold of our thoughts, he will. So we have to be on guard for that. Mm-hmm. So.
Yep.
Anyway.
What are you laughing for?
Well,
it's like last night.
You're sort of like...
No, it's fear or faith. And it's every time you get to that point, it's fear or faith. What are you going to choose? And it's interesting because, I heard it the first time probably 9 or 10 years ago that said, kids, they're little sinners. And it's true. They're little sinners. We're big sinners. But it's interesting how they will pick up on the tension and not even know it and just add to it. Mm-hmm. And you can go, okay, we got to stop this crazy cycle.
Mm-hmm. Kids are master manipulators. It's funny that out of all of the studies that you see around the world, around the country, that focus on kids and development, I don't know that I've ever heard one come out and go, you know what? Your kids are a whole heck of a lot smarter in relationships than you give them credit for. Because they do. They listen and they know. They will pick up on things that will drive a stake in between you and your spouse, whether you're a blended family or not. I mean, kids know how to do that. And if you let them get the upper hand, and again, this sort of is a whole thing. I mean, you get your kids in the wrong priority location, and you end up with kids being first and spouse being second and God being somewhere down below all that mess. Then you will head towards a messy end. So kids are brilliant.
And I say a lot of times to the kids, are you heading to the light at the end of the tunnel, or is that a train barreling at you? Because that's where you're at. If you got it in the wrong priority, it may be that's a train barreling at you.
That's right. So anyway, there's a little bit of rambling tonight. We had a lot of good things come in today. We're just sort of trying to put some thoughts together. But we will begin to sort of push through these in the next couple of days, and we'll have a little bit more to talk about. So, what?
Like, comment, subscribe.
I think she just likes saying that. I'm not real sure. But, yes, do those things. These things are always funny at the end because I don't really know how to end it every night. It's like getting off the phone when you were a kid.
You need like a tagline or the call symbol for, like whatever it is. Like cat,
No.
What are those called? Call signs?
The call letters?
Yeah. Something, just like a...
Okay, well, we need a tagline, apparently. B2BB. See? I came up with one just like that. Anyway, you see, this is the way we talk. I mean, it's just a bunch of randomness all the time. But...
they don't know that we have, like, Post-it notes stuck all over the wall downstairs.
Well, that's a completely random thought. Thanks for bringing that up.
Well, it's just like randomness. Just write it down, stick it on the wall.
Okay, so this could continue forever if we don't end it. So that's it for day 20. We'll be back tomorrow. Don't forget, November 4th, 40-day prayer challenge starts. 40 days to get your mind, your spirit, and your body ready for the holidays.
2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today. And then keep your eyes peeled because I'm going to put up a special video that was done tonight. That'll be a little added bonus. And then, so we will be back tomorrow, day 21, and we'll see you then.